What were we talking about? Hi everyone, it's Holly and I am back with another Tropes video. So this month I want to talk about Amnesia, which I thought about not talking about because it's not a trope that I read a lot of. And it's also a trope that when I was writing out my notes for this video, I was like, I don't fully understand the reason for this trope. So I'm not sure how helpful this video is. I'm not sure how helpful any of my videos are really, but whatever. But I'm gonna try and talk through some things and hopefully you can provide some information in the comments for people who want to know more. So amnesia is a pretty self-explanatory trope. So it is a trope where one of the characters, I've never heard of both characters, but one of the characters ends up through some event of some kind, usually there's some sort of trauma, like head trauma or something, ends up getting amnesia, and it's either their whole life they don't remember or a segment of time they don't remember. And then they go on a journey to remember who they are and find out who they are. And so sometimes they're like completely in the wild and they are discovered by like strangers or a stranger who takes them in and tries to help them. Other times they are still with their family, but they're like struggling, or with people they know, but they either don't know them or they don't remember everything, that kind of thing. And then a romance occurs. I've read a few amnesia stories, and I mean, not enough to even notice a trend, but I can't really pinpoint a trend when it comes to how the love interest plays into the amnesia storyline. I honestly don't know how common this is as a trope, because I don't see it very often. I did get St. Martin's emailed me about 2 books earlier this year that had amnesia tropes in them, and offered me review copies, which I did read them and I'll talk about them a little bit later. But prior to that, I had only read 1 book with this in it. I do think it's probably something you see a little more often in like a Harlequin. Harlequin has like, I'm not super knowledgeable on Harlequin, but they have like different imprints almost for like different types of stories, and I feel like amnesia would fit into one of those. Like they have like Harlequin Blaze, Harlequin Suspense, Love Inspired I think is one. I don't know, there's a bunch of different like sub things in Harlequin, so I could see this happening in there because I know those subcategories are really useful for readers to find like kind of their catnip type of story. And honestly, my biggest thing when I was thinking about this was I don't understand why the amnesia storyline. So if it's something that you're interested in, let me know what it is that you like about it. And I don't mean that in like a judgy way, I just haven't read a ton. But you know how like I like Marriage of Convenience stories because I like seeing people put into these like forced relationships and then having to figure out how to be a couple. Or I like second chance romance because again, I like seeing them struggle and learn how to be a couple, and you know, there's not that like new romance element to it. But with amnesia, it seems more of like a plot point than a character thing, which is fine. But I mean, I guess it'd be like if you're into like kidnapping stories or motorcycle club romances or something. I just don't see the trend or see like the through line between them. So if it's something you like I said, let me know down below. Like I said, I have read a few of these, so most of them were pretty like okay 3-star reads for me. So one I read earlier this year was Cold Heart Warm Cowboy, which was a contemporary romance, and this is one where the hero character has amnesia. He is a bull rider and he ends up getting in like an accident and losing basically like I think like a year and a half of his memory. And so he does know who he is, and he's actually hiding his amnesia from people in his life. So he lives at home with like his family, but they don't know he has amnesia. And then there's like an added complication of like he was actually married, but he never told anybody he was married, and then he forgot that time period, and then his wife like shows up and everything. So this one was interesting because for me, because it was different from the other ones I had read, where he only was missing a small gap of time instead of missing like everything, plus he was still in his normal everyday life. My issues with this book had nothing to do with the amnesia storyline. It was just a little redundant and drawn out, but it was interesting. And then another one I read around the same time, because it was from St. Martin's as well, was The Duke is But a Dream. This one was by Anna Bennett. I'm sorry, I can't remember the author for the other book. And this one is a historical romance, and this one the heroine loses her whole memory. I can't remember what happens, and she is discovered and taken in by a man and his sister who try to like help her figure out who she is. This one, there is the added complication of like they want to protect her, because what if she like is somebody, you know, like what if she is somebody whose reputation can be harmed? They can't just like walk around and be like, hey, we found this girl. Like that would be really bad. So and she has lost like all of her memory, so she has no idea who she is. And then she obviously falls in love with that Duke. This one I really liked. There's like a relationship between her and the sister character. I did really enjoy that. And this one I feel like I remember the amnesia. It might have been one of those like she hits her head again and then her memory comes back, which I've seen that a lot in like movies and stuff. I don't know how, I don't think that's accurate, and it kind of bothers me. I don't know, is that weird? And then the only one that I own a physical copy of is Once More, My Darling Rogue by Lorraine Heath. I read this a few years ago. This one I think I gave 4 stars, and something happens and she like offends him, I think, and then she loses her memory and he finds her, and as like a way of exacting revenge, he like takes her in and like, yeah, tells her that she's his housekeeper, to like kind of like demean her, I guess, like as punishment. And then, you know, they fall in love and all of that. And I think I gave this one 4 stars. Did I say that already? I was skimming my review on Goodreads because, like I said, I hadn't read this in a long time. And I said in my review that going into this book, I was really apprehensive about it because the whole storyline sounds really, like, potentially toxic. Which actually, Lorraine Heath does that a lot. And I think she does it really well by not making it toxic. But, yeah, so then they, like, fall in love and stuff. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, my battery's dying, so I just want to do this really quick. So those are the books that I have read. I'll leave links to book lists with amnesia stories down below. If you have any comments, recommendations, anything like that to help me be more knowledgeable, you be more knowledgeable, that'd be great. Thanks so much for reading. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.